and welcome back to another episode of the Basketball Fix podcast. This is Path to Pro, a new series where we follow the NBL Next Star program and the players involved there. The second episode of this series so far, and today I'm thinking we're going to have a look at the NBL Blitz, so the preseason games and how our Next Stars featured in the preseason games there. I also want to look at a where are they now kind of segment and see, this program's been going on for a couple of years now. Where are the players that participated in this program previously on the world scale today? There are some more recognizable names there, but some probably that people may have forgotten. So let's dive into that list as well, see where those players are, and then we'll round out the show with a bit of a preview of round one with 4 of our Next Stars matching up against each other in the round one tip-off at Hoops Fest in Perth. Fantastic. All right, so let's get into today's episode. The NBL Blitz was held on the Gold Coast just recently, wrapped up with Brisbane and Rocco Zikarsky taking out if you want to call it a championship. Can you call it a championship for pre-season? I don't know. Some sports are doing it now. AFL, we're a bit of a market leader in that aspect. But it is good. The NBL Blitz is, I think, a fantastic concept. Getting the teams together in one spot, allowing the media and fans to interact with teams across I think was it a 10-day or 12-day period or something like that. I think it's great. It's a great aspect for the sport. It's a kind of a soft start into the season. The guys need to have their warm-ups and their minutes, their rotations through. The coaches get a chance to check players, and also assistants get a chance to run the teams. So it's, I think, a great opportunity. Gold Coast, is it the best place for it? I don't know. It's hard to comment on crowd numbers. People are still getting warmed up to the idea, and there's a lot of games in that period. I think if you're probably moving it to any other city, probably going to get similar, not retention rates, what's it called? Attendance. But I think the main aspect is not the crowds, it's what happens around the basketball, what happens on the court and between the teams, which I think is amazing. Now let's look at the 5 players that participated from the Next Star program in NBL Blitz. Let's start off with Rocco Zikarsky. Now Rocco had played a couple of preseason games before the Blitz. So obviously against Shanghai, Melbourne, Southeast Melbourne and the 36ers. One of those games he started against the 36ers, played 25 minutes, racked up 9 points, 33% shooting, 10 rebounds. So a pretty... I wouldn't say dominant effort, but he made himself known on the court there. Had plus minus of 2 there in a game that they went down to the 36ers by 1 point. In the 3 Blitz games, so matched up against the Jack Jumpers, he played 15 minutes off the bench there, 8 points, only 3 rebounds against the Jack Jumpers. I didn't watch that game personally, but looking at the box score there, maybe it's just the opportunity. I know that Jack Jumpers didn't put a lot of effort into their preseason games, their Blitz games. So that one is probably good if anybody's watching. Go back and watch that game to see how Zikarsky kind of played out there against the Jack Jumpers. He didn't suit up against the Melbourne United team because of an injury, but then did come back and played 15 minutes off the bench against the Taipans. He scored 2 points, 5 rebounds in a game that he went minus 11 on the plus minus. So not a fantastic kind of preseason for Rocco, but I'm not worried in the slightest. Rocco will probably feature in my Supercoach team because he's such a low price, but this guy is ranked currently very high on mock drafts, the few that are out there for the 2025 draft. I checked out one earlier today, Tankathon. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of them before, but he's at number 12 on their mock draft. He's only the second center behind Karim Malique, so a South Sudanese player who's at Duke right now. So I think Rocco, the only way is up for him. If he gets a bit more game time and a bit more repetitions on the floor with his team this season, then I can just see his draft stocks increasing there and possibly becoming the first center pick in the 2025 draft. Let's head over to Perth and Izan Almansa. He started the first Blitz game against the Breakers, played 19 and a half minutes, 9 points, 3 rebounds, 3 fouls. in the game in those 19 minutes, but contributed well on the floor to their 6-point win over the Breakers. It was a plus minus of 10 there. The next two games, he came off the bench, still playing around that 19-20 minute kind of bracket, which I think he'll probably play at least in the, or probably not, maybe not that much, maybe around the 15 to 16 minute bracket. We'll probably see him there. He's contributing. He's scoring a couple of points. His shooting was just got better as the Blitz went on. So 50% in the first game, 60% from the field in game 2 against the Hawks, another game which they won, and then 71% he shot against Cairns when they won 89-76 and a plus 14 while he was on the floor there. Also picked up 8 rebounds in that game, which is, was double the number of the other two games. And obviously, again, not to read in too much to these preseason games because the lineups are quite different to what you might expect in an NBL game. But you can still see the potential there from Izan, who comes into the league as a player that should be able to contribute to the Perth Wildcats from the get-go, and I'm sure they'll be expecting him to do so. Alex Toohey, well, guys, what a player. What a player. Played in 2 Blitz games, didn't suit up for the first one against Cairns. Played against Southeast Melbourne, started the game, played just a tick under 30 minutes, scored 26 points. 72% shooting. He scored 4 from 3, which is crazy, and especially in this league. He also had an assist, 3 rebounds, a steal, and a block, and only 1 foul picked up in the game. And he was fouled 5 times as well. So, if you, again, talking super coach, Alex Toohey has to be in your team, especially with the Sydney Kings run early on. But I see, Alex Toohey as a guy who will take more and more reps in this Sydney Kings team as he continues to lift his draft stocks into 2025. And even in a stacked Sydney team, like we were speaking in a couple of other shows we've done earlier this year about the Sydney Kings roster and where these players are going to fit in. I don't know if there is a player that has performed as well as Alex Toohey in the preseason. And he was already starting last year, and he'll command a majority of minutes on this team, and he will be a big factor in them going very deep into the postseason, I believe. Against the Breakers in the last Blitz game that he played, 34 minutes he had on court there, 24 points, 50% shooting, 2 from 4 from 3. Also picked up 2 rebounds, 3 assists to 1 turnover. And again, only 2 fouls picked up, but 6 on him. So he's getting to the rim, getting fouled, picking up free throws. He had 9 free throw attempts in both of those Blitz games. So that is, again, going to go very far to him getting his point tally up and being a big contributor to the Sydney Kings this season. Karim Lopez for the New Zealand Breakers. Now, Karim didn't have a lot of opportunity in the Blitz. He started in the 2 most recent games against the 36ers and the Kings, but only got 8 minutes against the 36ers, scored 1 point, was a free throw. So he missed his 2 field goals, 1 from 3 that he tried, missed those, but hit 1 from 2 from the line. No other stats, 1 assist, no rebounds, no steals, no blocks. So again, I didn't unfortunately didn't catch that game from Karim, but it could be just this Breakers team trying to set their rhythm, trying to figure out who's in the rotations. Got quite a big turnover of players, a new coach, and Karim just finding his spot in this team, I would imagine, because he is a very good player and has the credentials coming into this league from his previous years playing basketball. He should be able to contribute and find a role in this team, but it might take a couple of weeks to figure it out for him, and that's fine. He's still a young guy. He'll be around the Breakers for 2 years, so it doesn't have to glue or to kind of shoot up the rankings from the very first game, which is fine. Against Sydney in his last Blitz game, a game the Breakers were kind of under the pump for most of it, played 14 minutes, again, 0 points, only one shot from the field that he got up here. Managed to get a rebound and an assist here as well as a block. But 4 fouls in 14 minutes. Mate, yeah, I don't know. I'll leave my comments for Karim until we get into the season proper and see how this Breakers team is formatted and how they come out on the floor and what kind of minutes Karim will play and what role he'll be given within that team. It'll be interesting to see. Malique Lewis, Southeast Melbourne Phoenix. He played all of his minutes off the bench in the 3 Blitz games. Played against Illawarra, Sydney and Adelaide. They won 2 of those games. So they lost against Illawarra first up. He played just a tick under 18 minutes, had 5 points, not great shooting. So 1 from 5 from the field, 0 from 1 from 3. But, you're not picking up Malique Lewis and thinking that he's going to, go 50 or 60% shooting every single game. He's still a young guy, still trying to figure out his role in this team, and his athleticism, his speed, his strength is what is kind of his biggest draw card, I think, to this team. His shooting will come as he gets comfortable and gets a bit more routine in the league. He picked up 3 rebounds in the game against Illawarra as well in those kind of 17 minutes. Against Sydney, a little bit more, so I had 25 minutes on court, and we've seen his shooting improve there. 57% from the field, still 0 from 2, but he's giving it a shot. He's taking the opportunity when he gets it. 7 rebounds in that game, so again, showing his athleticism, rebounding there, and a steal as well. So as we've spoken about in the shows earlier this season, Malique Lewis is a guy that is just a dog. So he's going to get on the court, he's going to run, he's going to jump, he's going to fight, elbow, steal, do his best to just try and make a difference anywhere he can on the court. And that's what Southeast Melbourne need. And I think where this matchup for him going to Southeast Melbourne is going to be very fruitful for the both of them. He'll have a platform to kind of shine with his athleticism and his abilities, and he'll help Southeast Melbourne to get across the line, I think, on a couple of occasions this coming season. Against Adelaide, so the 36ers in this last Blitz game had a number of players out with injury. The score was 101-49. So, I mean, tough to take anything really out of this game. But Malique had 23 minutes again off the bench, 10 points off 50% shooting, hit a 3, so 1 from 2 from 3, 4 rebounds, 2 assists to 1 turnover as well, and he got a steal in that game. So I think all round from our 5 Next Stars in the Blitz, a pretty good effort, I would say. I'm impressed. They're young guys. They're trying to find their spot in their teams in this league, while also kind of keep an eye on where the scouts are, who's recruiting them, what's happening in the upcoming draft. There's a lot to think about for these guys. So I think they've done a great job in the first little hit out that they've had here, and it'll be fantastic to see how they go coming up in the round 1 of NBL 25. Going to take a quick break, come back, and let's look at where they are now. Okay, thanks for hanging around. Where are they now? So when I was preparing this episode, I thought, okay, we're definitely going to talk about the Blitz and we're going to talk about round 1, but what can we mix things up with and look, outside of the 5 guys that are playing now? And as if you've listened to any of the Basketball Fix podcasts or even the Path to Pro one last week, you'll know that I am not a kind of experienced NBL commentator or analyst by any stretch of the imagination. I love basketball. I followed NBA for a number of years and followed the NBL when I was a kid, but I've missed out the last kind of 10, 15 years of the NBL. So I thought, well, what is the Next Stars? Who's been involved and where are these guys now? So that kind of led me down this road of trying to look up and figure out where, or first of all, who has been a part of the Next Stars program, and then figuring out where are all these guys today. So I took a little bit of a trip down, well, not memory lane because I don't remember them, but I went onto the NBL website, looked at all the players that had participated in the program, and as the viewers and listeners would agree, there are a number of names here who are quite, well, now you'd say household names in the basketball landscape. A few that aren't so much, and I had to do some digging on guys like Nikita Mikhailovsky, a Russian player in the 21-22 season playing for the Jack Jumpers. And who else was there? Digbo, is that how you pronounce his name? A French guy that turned out for the Bullets back in also 21-22. So what I thought I'll do here is I won't go into everybody, but as well, like the last couple of seasons. So the guys from last year, Clintman, Johnson, Saar, Hookporty, we know, all got drafted to the NBA. Mantas Rupstavicius was a player that we probably thought or knew wouldn't get drafted, but maybe was going to get picked up on a two-way or a 10, something like that. Didn't end up doing that. He has gone back to Lithuania, and he played the Summer League actually for Golden State Warriors, but didn't end up securing a contract. Has gone back to Lithuania and will be playing in the BKT Euro Cup. Trent Flowers, we've spoken about a bit on this podcast. He has signed a two-way deal for the LA Clippers, so we'll probably see him busting out for the Clippers sometime this season, if not for their G League team. So, but yeah, last year's guys, we all have a pretty good grip on where they are. Ryan, can you call him Ryan? My name's Ryan, but it's not spelled like this. Ryan Rupert, a French guy, played for the New Zealand Breakers in the 2022-23 season. Picked up by Portland. He's still there. Good defender. Predicted to go in the first round. Fell down, but got picked up by Portland and had a 3-year deal there. So he's still playing his trade with the Blazers. Now, 21-22. There was 4 guys that turned out here, and really the only person that made a name for themselves after the NBL Next Star program was Ousmane Dieng. He was drafted by the Knicks at number 11. He was the first European player to partake in the Next Star program. So he paved the way for multiple French players to then continue to participate, and we've seen how that kind of worked out for Alex Sarr last season, which is fantastic. On draft night, he was traded to the Oklahoma City Thunder and has made a name for himself there. Last season, he won a G League title with the Oklahoma City Blue. He was MVP of the finals there as well. 25 points, 6 boards, 4 assists, and 2 blocks in the final game there. So fantastic for Ousmane Dieng to continue to be playing quality basketball and having those accolades next to his name. Now, the other 3 guys in the 2021-22 Next Star program, Makul Maker, a Sudanese-Australian player, played for the Kings, is in the Saudi League right now. So he played Summer League for Chicago, had a 10-day with Washington, went around a little bit to the Raptors in their G League, but now is in the Saudi League and playing for Al Ittihad Jeddah there. Now, the 2 guys, Nikita Mikhailovsky, as I said, really hard to find information on this guy. Even the NBL website just had like 1 sentence about him. A Russian guy, played for the Jack Jumpers, didn't really do much there. He's back in Russia playing for CSKA Moscow. And interesting stat about this guy, one of only 2 players to record a triple-double at FIBA Under-19 World Cup. So there you go. Nikita Mikhailovsky playing in Russia. Tom Digbo, French player, played for Brisbane, played a bit in Spain and Lithuania before coming to Brisbane, went over to the G League, played for Motor City before moving around in France and Spain, but now has landed in Hestia Menorca in the Spanish league there and is signed up to play this season. Now, as we go a bit further back, 2020 to 21 or 2022 seasons, we have Justinian Jessup has been a name that's been kind of synonymous with the Next Star program and NBL. He's been in and out. Came back to the Breakers last season to play, but got injured and didn't play more than 2 games for the Breakers. But he's now gone over to Germany and he's playing in the German league this season, picked up a contract there, which is fantastic for Justinian. Mojave King, New Zealand-born player, which hopefully many from the NBL followers would recognise. He's playing for the New Zealand Breakers this season as well. Went to picked up by the LA Lakers in the draft at number 47, traded to Indiana straight away, and then ended up in the G League Ignite before returning to play for the Breakers. Josh Giddey, we don't really have to speak too much of. I think we all know what happened to him. Didi Louzada, Brazilian, first and only Brazilian player to partake in the Next Star program in the 19 to 2021 seasons. Played for the Sydney Kings, was drafted by Atlanta, pick number 35, traded to New Orleans, and I think now he's playing for the Sacramento Kings in the G League there. So now we're going back to the beginning. We got guys, LaMelo Ball and RJ Hampton, we know are still playing, or RJ, you wouldn't say he's playing NBA. He's not. LaMelo Ball is playing NBA. RJ Hampton. Now, this is a bit of a sad story, but a disappointing story. So he played for the Breakers, had a lot of attention on RJ Hampton, had a lot of, what do you call it? When you have something in front of you and trying to get the words out that aren't spoken in Swedish. Anyway, had a bright future, let's say that. Picked up by the Bucks at pick number 24 on draft night, traded to Denver. He was then traded to the Magic the following year. Won Eastern Conference Player of the Week for the Magic as he was playing there. Got to start, and then the wheels just fell off. He came off the bench in a scuffle in one of the games there, was suspended. He then got waived, picked up by the Pistons. He was waived, picked up by Miami last season, then was waived. Went to the Capital City Go-Go G League team, had a 10-day contract with the Washington Wizards there, didn't end up playing for them, then now has been traded to the Delaware Blue Coats for the upcoming G League season. I mean, such potential was the word I was looking for before, potential for RJ Hampton. Didn't really realise that potential in the NBA, but still playing G League, still making a buck for himself and playing basketball as a career. So, good things for him. Now we move on to Terry Armstrong, a player that, for me, that didn't kind of follow the seasons back in the 2019-2020. Trying to find a profile on this guy and going to the NBL website, and there's not much written about him there. American-born player, picked up by Southeast Melbourne to partake in the Next Star program. Now, of course, still in its infancy, this program, and a lot of attention on LaMelo Ball and RJ Hampton at this stage. So maybe not completely out of the realm of possibility that Terry Armstrong just doesn't receive the attention and things fall apart. But won the dunk contest at the Blitz that season, then was left out of the rotation essentially by Southeast Melbourne for the season. Played only 8 games, averaging 2.5 minutes. He declared for the draft but didn't get picked up. Moved over to Europe, played a season in Slovenia, and now is in Serbia playing for Metalak Valjevo in the Serbian league. Brian Bowen, the first official Next Star player, signed a 2-way with the Pacers after he was completed his Next Star program, played 2 seasons with them, and now is currently with the Stockton Kings G League team. So ended up going through all of them anyway. How about that? Now you know where all the previous Next Stars are and what they are doing with themselves. Another quick break. We'll come back and preview our round 1 matchups for our Next Stars. Okay, let's look at our round 1 previews. And how exciting is it that we get some proper Next Stars matchups already in round 1. We have on the Friday night, Perth against Southeast Melbourne. So we'll have Izan Almansa matching up against Malique Lewis, and 2 guys with very different skill sets here. Will be interesting to see if they get court time against each other, and possibly maybe Malique will match up on defense against Izan. But the second game of the week 1 tip-off at Hoops Fest, and no doubt will be a fantastic platform for these guys to kick off their Next Stars careers. Will be very exciting to watch them play. The first game on Saturday, New Zealand Breakers against Brisbane Bullets. We'll also see 2 guys matching up against each other with Karim Lopez and Rocco Zikarsky from their respective teams. I think the Breakers, judging just purely on their preseason efforts, they're probably going to struggle against Brisbane in this one, and especially if Rocco can play a bit of minutes. They're a little bit undersized, I think. So it'll be interesting to see just how these things work out against each other. And again, if these two players will be on court at the same time, they'll probably get a few minutes against each other. They will most definitely not match up against each other, but it'll be cool to see two Next Stars out on the court against each other and trying to one up. At least I would be doing that if I was either Karim or Rocco in this stage. And then finally on Sunday, the Sydney Kings against Adelaide 36ers, where Alex Toohey will have his chance to have his first NBL 25 game. Obviously, he played last season for the Kings, but it'll be good for him to get out and have another rep. The Kings against Adelaide last year. So Toohey played in all three games. He started all three games, but in the most recent matchup, played 10 minutes, only had 2 points and 2 boards in that game. So not really impactful for the Kings last year, against, at least in the matchups against Adelaide, where I think they ended up going 2-1 in that series. So it'd be cool to see Toohey and his kind of development over the off season, and compare that directly to his games against Adelaide last season, as we have that kind of platform there to look back on. So they're the three games, and if you want to we'll get down and dirty into the game previews, then you will do well to go to the basketballfix.com website, where we'll be uploading game previews of all 5 games. And actually, every single game this season will be on our website, and if you're lucky, you'll probably see them before the game previews even get out on the NBL website. Now, there's no guarantee that we know exactly what we're talking about, but we'd like to say we have a pretty good idea about basketball, and our mates at the Basketball Fix, Josh Higgins and Jeremy Dark, have followed this league for a number of years and have a great idea about the players. I'm more of a stats nerd and analyst from that perspective, so you'll definitely see a bit of my feelings and flavour coming through the write-ups, even if it's not me writing it. But that is today's episode of Path to Pro. Thanks for hanging around. And again, don't forget to check out all of the Basketball Fix content. You can see us on YouTube. You'll see Beyond the Buzzer, which is our weekly preview and review show. Supercoach sessions with Josh and Jez as they get into this NBL Supercoach scene and try to ruffle a few feathers there. Josh also holds a one-on-one podcast and series where he interviews players, coaches, members of teams. A fantastic interview with Quat Noy from the Sydney Kings just recently, which you can find on your podcasting platforms. And yeah, anything else that kind of comes out on the Basketball Fix. Again, basketballfix.com, thebasketballfix.com. You can also check out the Basketball Fix podcast on Instagram. You'll find us on YouTube, Facebook, probably Twitter as well. I'll have to ask Josh about that. Anyway, that is me for today. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for hanging around. I hope you have a great NBL 25 and round 1 at Hoopsfest.